I wonder if you feel like this moment, these images that are coming out about the humanitarian situation is, in fact, an inflection point.
Why did it take this long? I mean, in November of last year, the International Criminal Court issued a warrant for the arrest of Benjamin Netanyahu for the war crime of starvation 8 months ago, before Israel cut off all food, all water, all electricity into the Gaza Strip for 3 months. And to say the United States is silent, it's much, much worse than that. We are profoundly complicit and deeply responsible. It is our weapons that enforce this starvation. It is our diplomatic efforts that prevent international justice from being done. The blood is on our hands as Americans because it is our weapons that is responsible for those children starving to death.
No blood for the hands of Hamas?
Hamas has
Is
lots
there no
of...
blood
No,
on
no,
their
no.
hands?
Why don't you let me finish? How about that? Okay?
I'm just
Okay.
asking.
Yes,
You
of
blamed
course.
Israel and you blamed the U.S., but we haven't heard Hamas yet.
I actually have one of my closest friends in college was blown up by
asking.
Hamas. I have probably a lot more experience with suffering from Hamas, with all due respect, than you do. Let's say this. If we want to see who is more to blame for the starvation of children in Gaza, Hamas or Israel, let CNN in. Israel has not allowed Western journalists in since October 7th. Let them go in, let CNN go in, and decide for themselves. How about that?
How about Hamas
Can I-
releases
how
the
about-
hostages and
Yeah,
gets a
and let me
ceasefire?
think, what do you think would
Hold on,
happen if
Peter.
Hamas
Peter, just
released
give
the
me one
hostages?
second. Scott, let me ask you a question, because Hamas is responsible for October 7th. Hamas is responsible for a lot of terrible things. But the question is, who can alleviate the starvation at this moment in Gaza? And does Israel have a responsibility to do much more than it is doing right now? And what do you say to that?
Well, my view is Hamas started the war. The suffering of the people in Gaza is the direct responsibility of what Hamas has done. Hamas took money for years, and instead of doing anything for the people of Gaza, built tunnels for this siege.
Controlling
asked
the
me a question. I
flow.
want to answer it.
But what about Israel's role in controlling the flow of food?
Yeah.
I just want us to set the table here, because I understand that there's a lot of political talking points around this, but this is a conversation about human beings and about the things that they need in order to survive, which is food and water. And the question I have for you is there a moment for you where you sit here and you think, yeah, maybe more can be done? And at what point should the United States government say that?
Well, we are saying that. Number one, Hamas has weaponized aid. They've stolen it from the United Nations to resell it to finance their war. Some people think they've made $1 billion stealing and weaponizing this aid. That's not the United States doing. That's Hamas doing. That's number one. Number two, they've made unreasonable demands in these hostage negotiations. We're on the brink of a hostage deal and a ceasefire. They've blown that up today with Israel and now the United States having to walk away from an unreasonable situation. It is blatantly obvious that Israel and the United States wants the hostages home. They want a ceasefire, and they want to feed the people in Gaza. Hamas does not.
Can I just chat? The Israeli government's stated position is to support the Trump plan for the full expulsion of all Palestinians from Gaza. And I would remind you, there is no Hamas leadership in the West Bank. How are Palestinians being treated in the West Bank, where Hamas is not in control, where there are no Hamas fighters? Palestinians are being expelled from their homes, living under conditions that even Israel's own human rights organizations call apartheid in the West Bank, where there is no Hamas. So yes, Hamas does despicable things, but these talking points, with all respect, people don't believe them anymore. People don't believe them anymore.
All they have to do is release the hostages.
I just want to play, hold on a second, Scott. I want to play Cindy McCain. She's the executive director of the World Food Program, and she talked about what is happening right now in terms of the actual administration of aid and what it could be. And she knows that because she's done it before. Watch.
When we had full access, we had 400 distribution sites. We were getting in 600 trucks a day. So the capability that we have is unmatched by any other organization or any other foundation. And we know where our food goes because we have a system on the ground that is tested and works. We need full sustained access. We need at scale so we can set up the kinds of aid stations that can actually help people and do it where it's not a panic situation.
Cindy's right. Let me just say from the outset, Hamas is responsible for what happened in Gaza. They don't negotiate in good faith. They are a terrorist organization. Having said that, Israel needs to be doing far more than they're doing to allow food to come in or to provide it themselves. And I mean, having spent much of the last 3 years in the Muslim world, you ought to see how the U.S. is being portrayed there for standing by and being silent, at least on this. Now, Hamas, they are a terrorist organization. I don't speak for them, but Israel needs to do more, and America needs to do more to force them to allow food in. It's heartbreaking to see what's going on. I served meals in southern Turkey after the earthquake with somebody from World Central Kitchen who later went to Gaza and was killed by a strike. Wow. They're serving meals there. It's a horrible situation. Anybody who can watch what we just watched and say, no, Israel's doing enough, the U.S. is doing enough, we're not.
Yeah, I mean, she said 400 distribution sites is what they typically would have to feed a population of that size. We're talking about 4 now. And then at those sites, I can show you the headlines. I mean, dozens killed in separate incidents over the course of the last several weeks, just trying to get aid at those sites, creating incredibly dangerous conditions. It just seems, Abel, at this moment, it's not actually asking all that much for there to be more than what is happening right now, because what's happening right now is clearly not even close to being enough.
Abby, to look at the images, obviously it's painful, especially I'm a father. There's a lot of us here who are fathers, to see these kids. But then Hamas is just, they portray as a political party. They're a syndicate. They're a gang. They are a terrorist organization. I've been to Sderot. I've been to Ashdod, little cities right next to Gaza. These kids wake up in the morning, there's a Kazan coming over their head. They're going into these culverts that they paint them as snails so these kids can play in culverts to protect themselves. This is bad. President Donald J. Trump wants a couple of things. Scott mentioned it. He wants a ceasefire. He wants this to end. This guy does not want war. President Trump wants this to end.
He's called for mass expulsion.
Hamas
He
is
wants
the
to build
one.
a hotel.
Hamas is the
Called for
one that's
expelling the entire population. Did you not hear that?
I mean, come on.
Come
Come on what?
He's got his envoy over there right now.
That's the
trying to
official
end
Israeli
this thing.
position to facilitate the Trump. Why are 3 of those 4 aid centers all in the extreme south of Gaza on the border of Egypt? Because Israel's own defense minister has said, we are implementing the Trump plan. Gazans can only live on 12% of Gaza now, which is already one of the most overcrowded places on earth, because Israel is facilitating the Trump plan, moving the population into a tiny area, making life so hellish and so miserable that they hope that as many people who don't die will leave. That's official Israeli policy.